Glad you could join us again for Books and Words to Inspire. This is Randy Dockens, author of futuristic fiction with a science fiction feel and a Christian perspective. We'll visit a couple of sentences today in the first book of my Still Prophecy Pentology series, Mercy of the Iron Scepter, which comes from Scripture. In Chapter 2, on page 27, Caleb has just returned from seeing the king. The book then says, "This king was not who Caleb thought he would be, but he did bear the defining scars in his hands." We know that when Christ came to earth the first time, he was crucified. Although this was prophesied by Scripture as the psalmist David and the prophet Isaiah and others stated, it was still a horrific experience for him to endure. But he was not only crucified, but bore the sin of the entire world on that cross to pay the death penalty that our sin required. So we should be very grateful for the horrific experience Christ went through on our behalf. All you have to do is accept what he did in order to have the future he has promised to those who believe in him. So the question is, does he still bear those scars? And if he does, why? Why would someone who is part of the triune God keep those scars? We sometimes think that although Jesus' experience was horrific, he went back to heaven and all is as it was before. But no, that is not what happened. You see, Jesus making the decision to become human was a forever change for him. While he was spirit before his first coming, he is no longer spirit, but still a man. The writer of Hebrews tells us this. Although glorified and still all-powerful, his body is no longer spirit. His relationship with the Trinity was forever altered after he died for us. See how much he loved us? He was willing to identify with us for eternity. This wasn't just an inconvenience for him. It was a life-altering experience, just as our encounter with him is life-altering as well. This is why the prophet Zechariah saw a vision of him coming to earth with scars in his hands and a mark in his side. Zechariah tells us this in Zechariah chapter 12. This will be proof for Israel when he comes back to earth that he has paid for their sin and they merely have to accept him. Christ will forever bear these scars as proof of who he is, proof of how much he loved us and loves us, and forever be a sign of what he gave up to identify with us and show us that his love for us is eternal. We can love him because he first loved us. Yet he not only loved us when we did not even recognize him, he continues to love us and will do so forever. Who else do you know that is like this? Who else would be worthy enough to reign over us? Only the one who wants the very best for us and willing to give us the very best for all eternity. Does that get you excited? I hope it does. Get ready. What's going to happen? Something wonderful. At the beginning of Chapter 3 of Mercy of the Iron Scepter, Caleb sees rubble and asks Shepherd Franklin about it. Franklin said this was where the king entered Jerusalem through a sealed gate. The book states, "These are the stones which sealed this gate for centuries to symbolize the hopelessness of the promise of our king's return. You see them here now as rubble, crumbling at his command as he entered Jerusalem as promised." In Ezekiel chapters 8 through 11, he sees the Spirit of God leave the temple, exit the eastern gate, travel to the Mount of Olives, and ascend into heaven. It is thought that this is the path Jesus took when he ascended, and the reverse direction would be how he will enter the city upon his return. The eastern gate that faces the Mount of Olives was sealed around 1540 by Suleiman the Magnificent, a sultan of the Ottoman Empire, as a way to show the hopelessness of this belief. While this is not directly supported in Scripture, I use this in chapter 3 to demonstrate that it does not matter the plans of man or what he is trying to accomplish, but what God wishes to accomplish will be accomplished, no matter how man may wish to thwart it. This also shows that what God has prophesied will always come to pass, no matter if man remembers it or not. What God says will happen, no matter what. Well, that's all we have for today. Tune in next time when we explore things from Scripture about our future. And don't forget to visit my website for more information on this series and other books I have written. It's easy to remember, randydockens.com. Bye for now, and God bless.